finding an old car that's half sitting around. When you call the Veteran Car Donation Program, they'll explain how their program works and then arrange a time they can come and take up your vehicle for free. Running or not, it doesn't matter. They take cars, trucks, motorcycles, or vans. Show your support by donating your car and get a tax deduction in the process. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program right now. They'll come and pick your car up for free, and you'll get a tax deduction in the process. Call the number we're about to give you right now. Thank you, and God bless America. Call 800-218-9520. 800-218-9520. 800-218-9520. That's 800-218-9520. Watching television. If you're on a fixed budget, you need to make this free call right now to Dish and find out how you can get a fixed monthly price to watch all the television you want for 3 full years. In addition to a 3-year price guarantee, you can also get free monthly movie rentals. They give you one free movie rental every month. That's a $165 value, yours free. Plus, get free in-home tech visits, no cost equipment replacements, a free voice remote, and you can watch commercial-free TV. Even access all your favorite apps to stream like Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, and more. Now is the perfect time to call Dish. Take advantage of the 3-year price guarantee. Save yourself some money, and all your equipment is free. Call right now. 800-431-9129. 800-431-9129. 800-431-9129. That's 800-431-9129. Paid for by NPS. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creators unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Freedom never gets old. Celebrating America 250, Sirius XM Patriot.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
The 2026 Netflix is a Joke Fest is underway in Los Angeles right now, featuring some of the biggest names in stand-up comedy performing all week long. Can't be there? Netflix is a Joke Radio's got you covered. Hear interviews, live shows, and exclusive stand-up with some of your favorites. Plus, What a Joke with Tom Papa and Fortune Feimster are joined by guest host Eric Andre live every night. Netflix is a Joke Fest is on Netflix is a Joke Radio, Channel 93, and on the Sirius XM app. And now, Just the News Radio on Sirius XM Patriot.
I'm investigative journalist John Solomon, and this is Just the News Radio on Sirius XM Patriot. I love it when ideas are the leading edge of politics in America. Too many times it is just about personal attacks and dirty tricks and all the things that we've seen play out over the last investigations. But every so often, someone puts together a solution. It's driven by ideas. It's driven by a value system, and it has a purpose in trying to help the American people do better, to solve a problem. I really think that happened this week with the introduction of a very important piece of legislation called the Great American Healthcare Plan. We all know now, from what we learned last December, that Obamacare was a ruse, that the only way it was looking affordable is when the government put tens of billions of dollars of subsidies to lower the cost. But when you take all that away, Americans were getting beaten hard by Obamacare despite all of the political whipsaw. The Republicans now have a credible and detailed health care plan, one to go into the 2026 election with. And the man who made that possible is with us right now, Congressman Eric Burlison from the great state of Missouri. Sir, good to have you on the show.
Oh, it's good to be.
All right. You do a lot of things. You're working on so many things. You've been a big part of the weaponization investigations and so much more. But I want to step back. I've always thought that Republicans could play a winning hand on healthcare. I've always been amused over the last decade that they didn't come to the table with some really credible alternatives. This plan here feels detailed. It feels connected to what Americans are experiencing and talking about. What inspired you to do it? What do you think its impact will be if it gets passed?
Yeah, it would
talk about the affordability that's exceeded inflation, like healthcare. It's almost quadruple other all other cost of goods and services over the last few decades. So it's really it's eating away at our discretionary income. So, for example, my wife and I, when we first got married in 2002, or sorry, 2003, our insurance premiums for a family were around $6,000 for the whole year. Today, that same plan is $27,000. So in that, yeah, and if it just kept up with normal inflation, it would be around 10,000. So the fact that the average American family is having to come up with a $17,000 difference today is, as you can imagine, I mean, that would make a lot. If you had at least $1,000 a month additional discretionary income, that'd be a game changer for a lot of Americans. And so that's why we've got to do something. And I think the American people are demanding us to do something. The Democrats have even admitted that Obamacare was an absolute failure. And so the time to strike is now. We have the majority. Have the majority of the Senate. We have the president. If we leave this on the field and we don't do something about it, shame on us. We can do something that's a big winning issue. We've told the American people what they've given us the answer. So 75 or 79% say that they want more discretion over their healthcare dollars. They want to be in control of their healthcare dollars. 82% say that they want the money that they're spending to help them be healthier, not just be insured. And so what we're going to do, the plan that I have is called the Great American Healthcare Plan. First and foremost, it allows for every U.S. citizen to have a health savings account. And just like you can have your own individual retirement account, you can have a health savings account, and you can pay for your health insurance premiums through your health savings account. So right now you're limited to about $4,000 a year to put into that. We're bumping that up to $24,000 a year that you can put into that account so that you can pay for your health insurance premiums. In addition, you can purchase healthy things like a fitness membership or Maha food, like unprocessed protein and produce at the grocery store. You could, and then the bill also requires price transparency from hospitals and doctors and clinics. And then we're incorporating the ones that we've gotten from Trump's RX plan. So this is a comprehensive healthcare solution. None of it is controversial. It's all adding something that the American people currently don't have.
Hey!
There.
There.
Plan, you can keep it. But we're giving people an opportunity to get out of that disaster and start going to the individual insurance market and buy their own insurance product that they want to have.
Yeah, it's such a great idea. And, it's a kitchen table bill. And what I mean by that is the things that are in it are just they're the things that we talk about in daily life, as opposed to some of the esoteric things that sometimes get in a federal agency report or a congressional debate. These are things that people are making decisions. Hey, can I afford that gym membership? How are we going to eat healthier? So it has these elements that I think are just really tangible at the front line. Now, tell us how this would get through the Congress. Do you have a good sense of where it starts, and will it get a floor vote in the House?
So I filed the bill a few weeks ago. We're getting co-sponsors, and then we are going to. We've written it in such a way that it will be a good bill to bring into any kind of reconciliation package. So as we start discussing a reconciliation package that to fund the conflict and replenish our supply from the conflict in Iran.
The best
We need to have things that are other domestic policy wins, and I think this is it. I think the polling indicates affordability is the number one topic on every American's mind, and healthcare is the number one item in that affordability matrix. So this is something that we can absolutely do.
Nobody's in here yet.
Not controversial.
It's early.
Again, this is something
And they haven't put out any announcements yet.
sponsoring this bill.
I'm moving this.
It could be a big win. Now, the Democrats aren't going to support it at all because they want.
I like the little one because it fit in the door. Yeah.
They don't want a free market healthcare system. But this is returning the healthcare system back to a free market where patients are in the driver's seat. Patients are choosing what insurance product they want, who they want to do business with, which doctors are in their network, which hospitals they want to use. It's all back to the patient.
Yeah, and over the last 10 to 15 years, the pandemic showed us this, but government got in the way of that patient-doctor relationship. This really is getting government out of the way and getting back to the way it used to be with a great market competition ideas to drive down those prices. You had a big idea this morning in your social post. Let's take the Save America Act and the Great American Healthcare Act and combine them together, get it through reconciliation, get the Senate to do something. You think you can get the Senate off its derriere on that one?
I hope so. I hope that the Senate will consider taking up reconciliation and doing a comprehensive reconciliation package. And yes, the Save America Act, we wouldn't be able to do all of it, but we could certainly find a way to put financial strings attached to dropping, if they're not proving innocent or they're not requiring a voter to get money from those states and their whatever kind of aid that they get.
Could have just turned around. Jesus.
Of course, everything it has to. You can't just pass policy; it has to be budget related. So
sometimes waste does too much.
Very interesting and important. Maybe a way to break the line.
There you go.
That's very, very interesting. I want to turn to something else that you take the lead on. We don't know yet for sure whether there's a connection, but there's been about a dozen scientists who work.
Careful opening that door when you get there.
Yeah. Related to
just shift it up against it.
Space exploration, rocket capabilities that have disappeared or died in the last many years. I think you added a new name and a new case that you want to look at with a guy named Josh.
How did that add time though?
With the new guy because the circumstances
like a lot of time.
Like 3 minutes.
Yeah, Joshua
there goes start dropping.
Was a NASA aerospace electrical engineer. He was working in Huntsville, Alabama.
So I'm not going to grab too much on the freeway. So I'll be used to my normal grandpa.
The cutting edge, right? If you're going to get to Mars, you can't do it on burning fuel. You got to have nuclear propulsion. So, really critical to our national security. And at a very young age, the circumstances are very strange because he basically disappeared. His family put out a 4:30 in the morning after they didn't see him come home. They reported him missing, and then later that day, his car goes to, or he I mean, I don't know if he was even in his car anymore with the Tesla. You don't know. His Tesla was parked at the local airport for 4 hours, and then then from there he drove.
Grab my iPad and open up
all these back roads and county roads. Hit a guardrail, and the vehicle caught fire, and he was burnt to a crisp, to unrecognizable. So there's, it's a very mysterious thing that happened there. All of these individuals, their deaths are extremely mysterious. Now, I would say that doesn't necessarily mean that there's something nefarious going on. It may be that we just have got a lot of stress. We place a lot of stress on these scientists, and as a result, they unfortunately take their lives.
Why does this have him want me to go on? Is there something on 475?
To me, what we really,
what's
really
it's weird, isn't it?
Have stepped out of their home.
It wants me to go through town.
Those are the ones that
that's what it is delaying because it's thinking that we're going because we're not. We're going to go to fucking 475 to 75, right?
William Neal McCaslin, who was the retired U.S. Air Force general, who walked out of his home without anything except a handgun. Now, we're not certain he had a handgun with him, but they think that there's one missing from his safe. But he walked out, left everything behind, and we have no idea what happened to him. He had a lot of knowledge about our national secrets.
Oh,
our
it's closed.
Technology. He was running.
That would be why.
Research laboratory at White House.
That it looked.
And he was running the.
Fuck! Now these motherfuckers aren't gonna let me over.
Jet propulsion lab. So he was
they're gonna think I'm trying to be a dick.
Programs
knew some of our top
But
information.
I can be a
And
dick.
his disappearance is extremely suspicious, but also a potential national security threat.
That's the key thing here. Some of the knowledge that these people possess is highly valuable on the black market and for our enemies. And getting to the bottom of it, even if there is no connection, knowing that is important because there is a significant knowledge base that these group of scientists have that would be beneficial to any bad actor in the world or any enemy of the United States. Have you learned anything in the last few weeks since you began asking questions, started getting the FBI involved? And by the way, you deserve credit for getting this moving. It was your work that really got everybody moving.
We'll get gas before we get close to Columbus, though, because it's going to be expensive in Columbus.
These are not connected, or they may be connected, or there may be a
This is stupid, too. It wants me to get on there, do there, and then do the U-turn when I could just go up there and go to the light and make a left, you know?
By the press, not necessarily by me. So there's a lot of these
that's funny.
in and of themselves are very.
Can you make a U-turn up there?
I
don't think it'll recommend it if you can't. Huh?
A connection. There is an interesting connection.
Yeah, see all the traffic up there. Man, this has got everything fucked up. Oh, why don't they just shoot across? Huh? And avoid everything in town.
General McCaslin,
This fucking motorcycle.
Who went missing on a hike.
Avoid all that shit.
Yeah, it's probably still gonna be a cluster up here.
Yeah, but it'll be better. Is there like a festival going on or something? In Maumee as well?
I don't think so.
Albuquerque area, all of which disappeared in about an 8-month period of time. And each one, all left their belongings behind.
I think this one would be better than the one down there. That's where everybody's going, and it's yellow. See?
No, it's not.
Yellow, red.
And that's fit a pattern too. That's one of the things that was interesting in what you pointed out. That,
Place is going, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I'm gaining time, though. Huh?
Raises the suspicion level. How long do you think it'll take for the FBI to figure out if there is a pattern here? Do you expect a briefing?
We actually have a red light here.
Next month or so?
I do.
And I will pull into the intersection and stop.
He's tasked the FBI to investigate this. I've been told that
Like that person
they
is.
are dedicating resources to this. This is one of their top priorities to figure out what's going on here. So that's very good.
Yeah, no, that is. And they've proven, as they've done over the last several months with some of these big accountability cases now, they can put big, complicated things together and get a resolution quickly, like the Southern Poverty Law Center indictment this week, which I know took a lot of time, but let's see what they did. Wow, there's a clear picture there.
Doggy.
It's unfathomable.
It is unfathomable. I mean, I think one of the most interesting parts about it is the media got taken for a ride. We go back to that Charlottesville event now. We now know that one of the organizers was being paid by SPLC, and it was SPLC working with the media to try to turn Charlottesville into a Republicans have a race problem, and they may have invented the whole problem. The media's role in this.
I was wondering why originally, too, it had us going down Berkeley Southern and everything.
Oh, yeah.
To get on Southern 75. And it's going across the river. And
the co-conspirator along with the bad actors.
It knew ahead of time that was going to be closed. Yesterday when I mapped it.
You're not seeing the media come, like the mainstream media come out and say, "Oh, we were wrong." Boy, is this embarrassing, right?
Yeah. No, they just turned the page. Congressman, it's always fun to watch you in action. You're doing so many important things. And like I said, you not only identify problems, you put solutions into the marketplace. And I think people appreciate that. Really great to have you on the show today.
Thank you, John. Always a pleasure.
We're just about to send you a message. We're just trying to get out of town, get on the road.
Just the News Radio on Sirius XM Patriot. For more from Just the News Radio, go to justthenews.com or listen each week right here. Thank you so much for listening.
Cloudy? A little bit here.
To make better hearing affordable for everyone, we're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study with hearing. Research shows
I can't see when it disconnects, and you can see it on there. Exit usually tells me that sometimes.
Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Going to see the Grands. Actually, we're heading south instead of north this way. We're going to see the nephews and Parents.
Make a TV easy and affordable without sacrificing quality.
Miss Doc's parents.
With Philo, there's a package that's
With you, Courtney's parents.
the best live TV on more than 70 channels with a huge library
Her dad and
shows.
her brothers,
Or you're looking
sisters-in-laws.
Unlike access to even more blockbuster films.
So we got about a 2-hour drive, plus a stop.
AMC Plus and Discovery Plus. Whatever you choose. With Philo, you're getting great TV for an even better price. Find out more at philo.tv. That's philo.tv. Subscriptions auto-renew. Cancel anytime. See philo.tv for more.
Well, we weren't able to get together during Christmas time. As usual, somebody was sick or something like that.
Says the same thing. Lenseek is different. We show you what you
So,
qualify for. Lenseek's AI.
Doing it now. That's why it's Christmas in May in Columbus.
Well, it's Allie's first birthday.
Plus, it's the nephew's first birthday.
You've been in business over a year, doing at least 50.
How's she doing today? She's doing good. Oh, shit. I just blew a red light.
It's
okay.
100 lenders. Start ready.
I'll see no comments.
Lenseek.com. Zipper gets old. Celebrating America 250. Serious exemption trip 2025. Breaking news at Town Hall by Agnew in Washington. A tenuous ceasefire appeared to be holding today after the U.S. struck 2 Iranian oil tankers. Even as a country that hosts the U.S. Navy's regional headquarters said it arrested dozens of people.
No, that was
linked to Iran's
during Christmas time.
Friday's attack cast doubt on the ongoing month-old ceasefire. President Trump told reporters, meanwhile, that leaders of Russia and Ukraine have agreed to a 3-day ceasefire.
Wasn't our we didn't call it off this time. Someone else did.
Approaching a railroad crossing.
It's your ways.
Yeah.
In fact, the president says he believes this ceasefire could lead to an end to the war.
Well, yeah, was it good?
Continues. We get more of that trend from correspondent John Scott. Major Wall Street firms and prominent billionaires are relocating operations outside New York City in response to Mayor Zoran Mamdani's tax the rich policies. Critics warn the wealth flight will harm the city's economy and could lead to higher taxes for middle-class residents. That is John Scott reporting. America's employers delivered a surprisingly strong 115,000 new jobs last month, and that's despite an economic shock from the ongoing war in Iran. We get a closer look at those numbers from correspondent Bernie. Hiring was better than the 65,000 economists said.
It was on.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't going anywhere.
What the fuck was it?
I don't know. Maybe this.
It's not on. There's no raise on it.
The war has caused the biggest disruption of global oil supplies in history and sent average U.S. gasoline prices surging past $4.50 a gallon this week. But the conflict hasn't done much damage to the American job market so far. That is correspondent Bernie Bennett reporting. It was a winning session on Wall Street, partly because of that positive jobs report. The Dow closed up not by much, about 12 points. And the
the DoorDash? Okay.
440. More of these stories at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution.
Yeah, it's a car dealership.
Sitting in your car, at work, or
They like to do the big flag thing.
Call now. 800-583-0141.
They call it big car
Don't
dealerships
lose
do
hope.
that.
TRA can eliminate or
It is a
reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion
It's closed all the way up
is
to this
helping
exit.
individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google.
Swing
and
through
8+
Costco
with
if
the Better
it's gonna
Business
be
Bureau.
packed though.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today
Yes.
by visiting
It's
us
gonna be the
online
cheapest.
at tra.com or call 800-583-0141.
Yeah, enough to get there.
That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The UK has committed more than $1 billion.
Yeah, we went out to breakfast yesterday too. Place called Dale's. It's pretty good.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer faces mounting criticism over the UK's deteriorating naval capabilities, underscored by technical failures, sidelining key ships, and leaving only 5 frigates in service. Critics question his decision to commit substantial funds to EU-backed Ukraine loans, while domestic defense budgets remain stagnant until 2030.
Yeah, good food.
Correspondent Kim Norman reporting the debate over alleged voter suppression continues, but new data is raising questions about long-standing liberal claim.
Kind of pricey, though,
Bureau figures show minority
for breakfast.
turnout has increased over time. Black voter participation reached more
$40
than
for breakfast
in the 2018 midterms and about 45% in 2022. Breaking news at Town Hall. Politics is downstream from culture.
For a cheaper place.
On the legacy of Andrew Breitbart. This is Breitbart News Saturday with your host, Matt Boyle.
I'm pretty dumb that they would do this work.
Washington, D.C. Number here, 866-95 Patriot, 866-957-2874, 125. The Patriot Channel. We got a news pack program here today. Later this hour, we'll be joined by our politics editor, Bradley J. Next hour, Eric Metaxas will join us. He's coming
Schmedler.
Schmedler. At our big event that we did with Ambassador Monica Crowley earlier this week in Washington. Mark Bednar, a GOP strategist, will also join us. We got plenty of time for your calls as well, so call and get online. We want to talk.
Yeah, food was real good. I had me chicken fried steak, some eggs,
Dr. Sebastian Gorka,
big old pieces of toast,
Deputy Assistant to President Trump, and Senior
nice country gravy on it.
At the National Security Council at the White House. Dr. Gorka is also a Breitbart alumnus and previously was the host of America First. Dr. Gorka, always a pleasure, sir. Thanks for joining us again here on Breitbart News Saturday.
It's been a minute, my dear friend. It's good to be back. And let me just say in front of all of your amazing listeners, Hayward, is it John Hayward did a bang up piece on the strategy this week.
Big hunking piece of steak too.
Yeah,
nice,
that's what I want to talk to you
nice
about.
And crispy breaded.
Dr. G, is to talk about the new counterterrorism strategy that President Trump signed this week. And I know you worked very closely on this. The president said in a statement, quote, "Our new U.S. counterterrorism strategy is a return to
extra
common
package
sense
that will
and peaceful
flaring
they said after our first successful counterterrorism mission. Just days after I was sworn back into office, if you hurt Americans or are planning to hurt Americans, we will find you and we will kill you." That is as explicit.
Yeah, well, we had to go around the normal piece of highway we're on there. They have it closed down or something. Oh, they're doing patchwork. You got the whole southbound 475 closed between our exit and this exit. So we had to go through that busy down uptown Maumee there. Now we're on the freeway. We'll be rolling now.
This document, along with my incredible team of chapters and directors on the National Security Council. In a nutshell, America is back in the business of counterterrorism. Since the president authorized our first...
You should catch a truck stop with Starbucks, probably.
With Arby's?
Starbucks.
More than 800
Starbucks.
And we have liberated 106 Americans.
Why are we fucking stopping on the freeway? It's just a cement mixer.
Threat groups, number one, are the cartels the president designated as drug terrorist organizations. They back as the commander-in-chief. Secondarily, the legacy, the global jihadist movement threat groups, such as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And then
I know.
We are...
A decent weather weekend, and they decided to shut down one of the major... Oh, wow, they ripped all that up. They're repaving that. Look.
Who are, either...
Okay, they're doing quite a bit of work, actually. More than just patching, I guess.
Mother's Day weekend, good.
Yeah, good idea, huh? With no warning, either. Yeah, rumble strips. At least we're not having to drive on the rumble strips like last weekend. All right. We are in launch mode. Be careful for a while, though, because I guarantee you they're waiting down there.
Let's see where my package is now. I think
Oh,
it's
that's-
still with Delta.
Is it?
I don't know. Let's see if there's any updates.
We should ask her when we stopped by there yesterday. What the hell's going on with this? I know. I would say I know it's not you.
Right. Oh, it's in White House as of 6:10 a.m.
Oh, so it's actually probably be on the porch. It hasn't made it to White House yet, has it?
Yeah, well, it says as in White House as of 6:10 a.m. this morning.
Okay, well, it'll get delivered today then.
So crazy. So crazy.
Pleasure strips, yeah, I guess you can look at it that way. A little windy. $78. I think we're just getting up to like 73 here.
That's what it's, yeah, Columbus.
Down in Columbus. You think traffic's shitty here? Wait till we get to Columbus. Oh, look at this. Dude, there's a fucking exit right here, and you won't be breaking the law. Yeah. Wouldn't risk it, I guess. Running late, maybe. Good piece of freeway here, though. Huh? All the freeways were smooth as this.
Yeah, right.
Too fast messages. Meanies out in the streets. Well, their cops are notorious for being fucked up, aren't they?
Oh, Columbus. Oh, yeah. Well, especially the little towns right before, like Marion and stuff. They're the worst.
I mean, the suburbs are nice. I mean, technically, her brother does live in Columbus, but he lives kind of in a suburb right on the edge. There's a Starbucks in Marion, right?
And where?
Marion.
Oh, I'm sure. Starbucks are everywhere.
It's weird it would say that to you. You're the only one chatting. I wonder if it's the bot, the Rumble bot doing it.
Extra tools to be able to combat them because it's not like they're just in one little area.
Get a chance to look at any of my shorts? Oh, yeah, you did. You liked them all.
They have deep long arms.
I gained about 10 new subscribers from those shorts yesterday.
Completely. Think of the capabilities and the assets of small countries.
Tranquility Incontinence Center. They make adult diapers.
This doesn't make sense to see this. They are traveling up on the business
What do you do there? You actually just make the absorbent substance.
These organizations, because they are making billions
It's kind of
of dollars, not just from the drug sales, the fentanyl, etc., but because of the human trafficking that they were permitted to do under the Biden administration. So these are multinational narco cartel organizations with huge assets that must be strangled if we as Americans want to be safe. If you just look also at the international connections, the precursor chemicals for the fentanyl that is smuggled into the United States, that is manufactured in Mexico. China, for the most part, is providing people
shirts
that are then combined in those cartel labs in our hemisphere and then smuggled into our country.
She has a nice looking shirt, but
how would you know? So yes, this is a big gang in a certain part of Mexico or Colombia or elsewhere. These are gargantuan international criminal cartels, and that is how we are dealing with them.
Okay, so now I want to shift to the second big
bottom left over here. Was it live? I read live on.
So you mentioned that you guys have killed now more than 50%.
Just want to make sure. Disconnects. Let me know if it disconnects. Shorts. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I like to do a variety. I like those funny ones too from those Wayne County Life guy. Dude. He does all the different characters on that. And he doesn't have a presence on Rumble, so, and I always give him credit too in the description. So if he ever discovers it, that I'm ripping off his shorts. I got a few I recorded yesterday. I just got to edit them up and upload them.
It's National Dog Mom Day. It really is. I looked it up after I sent you that reel. It really is.
I didn't look at the reel yet.
With the members of the intelligence community in Stronghold was to track.
I was busy getting ready.
And the shocking thing was,
send it to me and Courtney.
No, just you.
That for the last 4 years, with the
Third Wave Barbecue. Where are they going? On a road trip. Civil Air Patrol. Missing Railroad. Oh, I did see this. I did see this. Does Mo serve breakfast? Sometimes. On the weekend they do sometimes.
They escaped after step 12, after the warrant of removal had been signed and all that was left was fingerprinting, verifying details, and physical removal. In other words, to the extent that the Hernandez majority determined that the conduct at issue occurred after the proceedings had concluded, that was not the case at the time that Dugan sought to prevent the arrest of Eduardo.
I think it's the big tires.
And here, ICE had a secondary purpose as well. They not only were seeking to execute an arrest warrant as
your big tires
Hernandez, they were also investigating whether he should be referred to criminal prosecution for violating U.S. code. And as this court knows, there was a subsequent referral, criminal prosecution, and adjudication of him. His proceedings before ICE were active and pending, and these facts are not even remotely comparable to the case that she is citing. So she's just desperate, scrambling around, trying to get out of her criminal convictions. And so you properly denied the motions. Don't reconsider anything. You should deny her request and proceed to sentencing on June 3rd,
Fremont Napoleon,
2026. And we'll see if that happens, and of course, what the sentence will be for backdoor duty. So all of that is happening
Highway 6
right now. Now
that's Cool Street Drive. And once you get outside of Bowling Green,
because they have an embarrassing typo.
It is.
Virginia lawyers have a leering problem after losing in the Supreme Court of Virginia. We now see that they are asking for a delay of the mandate so that the decision doesn't ultimately come down, because they're going to appeal to the Supreme Court. But might be a good
they're pretty close to each other.
Jason Miyares, who is the 48th Attorney General of Virginia and a former prosecutor, he said, maybe, kind of dunking on the new Attorney General out there, maybe you should leer to spell.
Because here's what they submitted after the decision came down, saying, don't make this official yet because it's not over. And once the Supreme Court, is what the AG is saying, says that we win, then we ultimately can certify the new maps, and the new maps can go into effect. We'll have to race to it in order to get it in before the November elections, but just don't make it official yet. And in doing this, they sent this over to the Supreme Court of Virginia, and they said, from Don Scott in his official capacity as Speaker of the
How do you appeal to the Supreme Court? They would have to go to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Missing an I. Virginia.
State Supreme Court.
No. Got a little VIRGNIA over there. And that's not the only one. They said the Commonwealth and appellants Don Scott, Scott Sorovel, and L. Louise Lucas by counsel moved this honorable court pursuant to Rule 539 to delay issuing its mandate in the above captioned matter. The Commonwealth has informed counsel for all parties of its intent to file this motion. Rule 539 provides that this court may defer the issuance of its mandate if a party intends to file an appeal with the Supreme Court of the United States, and we'll talk about whether that has any teeth to it at all. Many people thinking it does not. On May 8th, this court issued its decision in its case. Appellants and the Commonwealth intend to file an emergency petition to the Supreme Court of the United States. This motion is timely because it is filed within 15 days of this order. Rule 539, respectfully submitted by S. Tillman, J. Breckenridge, Solicitor General Don Scott, Scott Sorovel, and L. Louise Lucas. And you're also noticing, it's very curious, we also see that it's a Virginia state senator. So someone's just having a leering problem, very clearly. Not a senator, it's a senator. Senator. So Virginias and senators are going to appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States. And hopefully they turn their spell check on. Yeah. And learn to leer harder when they are filing their petitions. So that's what's going on over there, and you can imagine they're just panicked. They're like, get it, file it. You want to read it? No. It's Friday. Turn it in, because we need this new map, or else we're all going to die. And what's so funny about this is they are really having a tough time on this. So Abby Phillips over at CNN, she did a full segment on this. We're going to not listen to all of it so we can save some brain cells. But she said that they are now in this redistricting fight in the depths of hell because they're losing so badly. And it's interesting, a little bit of a reversal on this, because they said,
I was going to say, is that guy not going over? I guess he's just escorting a white load up there. State troopers, lights on,
even screaming at blue senators like Kane and Warnock. And this is just showing you how upset they are. We're in the depths of hell. Here's what she sounds like.
The depths of hell.
Let me back it up a little bit.
So we are, to be frank, in the depths of hell now when it comes to redistricting. I don't think there's a better way to put it. Like, there's no bottom officially here.
You guys have done this for generations. Where there are zero representatives anywhere, and now since the Republicans,
even with 40%,
now since the Supreme Court said you can't draw your racist maps anymore, now they're out of hell. These are your rules. You set them up.
So we're all doing 75 as we pass your trooper.
Playing on the same power level. And the Republicans that are not playing on that same power level all got booted out of Indiana. So good riddance to them. So they're upset about this. And Mike Lee's responding. He says, yeah, they can appeal it if they want, but I don't think that they have a leg to stand on. It's very different than Bush versus Gore, which was an equal protection problem in the mechanism of counting the votes, saying, well, there's different standards being applied at different locations, and that means that people's votes are being counted according to different processes, which is meaning some people might not have the same protections under the law as other people do.
It's a tailfin of an airplane.
Matter, not just a Florida matter. It's a
federal government U.S. Constitution problem. This is different. This is a procedural problem whereby in Virginia, they didn't follow the appropriate steps to amend their own constitution. It's not unpacking the counting of the votes. It's not an equal protection problem that Bush versus Gore was. It is a state issue through and through. And Jason Mike Linkover from Utah said this: I predict that a law clerk at the Supreme Court will soon be writing a memo that will look something like this from the state of Virginia and these senators. It says, Virginia seeks fact-bound error correction in the absence of any split or obvious error, all in connection with the ruling that rests entirely on state law. And so, Chief Justice John Roberts, I recommend deny. So don't accept this petition because it's a state law matter. And the state Supreme Court is the highest authority on the process, and they did an analysis on that. They said, yeah, election under our interpretation of our Constitution and general election means this. It means that. And so that's the end of the story. Supreme Court doesn't need to get involved in this at all, even if the Virginias and the senators really want that to happen. So Kamala came out, she's upset about it, said, last month the people made their voices heard at the ballot box, okay, on an illegal measure. So who cares? Today, the Virginia, and by the way, you also disenfranchised and shoving this through 1.3 million people in the first round when you added this referendum illegally. 1.3 million people had already voted before this was even available for them to vote on. So they got disenfranchised, which is the entire point. Now, today, the Supreme Court ignored the will of the people and overturned the democratically chosen maps. It's always their default. You can't challenge it before because it's not enough. You have to wait until the Supreme Court decides. And then if the Supreme Court reverses,
actually got an email on it.
Disenfranchised everybody. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. This is how they play. This ruling gives a boost to Trump's efforts to rig. Wow, they're talking about rigged elections? Wow, maybe she should go to
$10. Thanks, buddy.
As being an insurrectionist. The 2026 elections and the Republicans' long game.
That'll cover hers.
We're rightfully outraged.
She's talking about Starbucks, which
we will continue our fight to restore the power.
and Shred wife is Starbucks.
The whole operation was to take the power away from, in Virginia, 48% of the population, and give it back to yourselves. And you've done this in many other locations. You've done this all throughout the New England states. You've done this in California. You're trying to do this in other blue states that gerrymander even harder. The Republicans are now striking back, and now you're outraged about it. So spare us the lecture about democracy. So Glenn Youngkin said, former governor before CIA Spanberger came in, said justice has been served. From the beginning, this was the most obvious violation of Virginia's Constitution. Abigail Spanberger and Democrats in Richmond knowingly violated our Constitution to disenfranchise millions of Virginians. The Constitution prevailed, though, and Virginians will never forget this unlawful attempt to rob them of their voice in Congress. And I hope they don't. And the New York Times is noting the Republicans have some amazing momentum right now, saying 10 days that shook the House map and the Democratic confidence that they were riding high on. There was F around, find out, we're going to beat the Texans, we're going to beat the Floridans, and we're going to beat everybody. Look what we just did in Virginia. We're going to do that to you too. And then, of course, it was all found to be illegal. So here's this story, which walks us through some of the highlights. Just 2 weeks ago, the Democrats felt increasingly emboldened about taking control of the House in November, seemingly winning the redistricting wars. But now, not. One ruling by the Supreme Court and another by
she likes one of their new drinks. What's it called?
And an aggressive push by the red states to strike back. Given the Republicans,
chocolate Dubai matcha.
In many months. Put bluntly,
Chocolate Dubai matcha.
Republicans have roughly 10 more House seats in favor of them than they did just 10 days ago. And Democrats are grappling now with the new landscape.
Have you tried Dubai chocolate?
Closer than it was just a week and a half ago. Instead of Pennsylvania Democrat, they are still widely seen as favorites to win the House. And Someone, though, said, I was anticipating a 15 to 20 seat.
Oh, dude,
Now
you're welcome to do it for free anytime.
That would be more than enough to take control over the House.
You don't have to pay to watch us.
Barely with the lead 217 to 212. Bullish Republicans think that they're back in the game. James Blair, a Republican strategist, said, Lord, grant me humility. One of Johnson's, the current Speaker of the House, aides, interrupted the middle of a meeting in Texas where the Republican leader was on a fundraising swing to break the news. Johnson later celebrated on the phone with Glenn Youngkin.
I love pistachios.
Very happy about this. The last 10 days demonstrated the power.
Used to be one of my indulgences. I've kind of gotten away from them.
And the role of the judges in the next phase of the redistricting battle. Recent legal actions already underway in Virginia, Tennessee, Florida, Louisiana, Alabama.
They're expensive. Cashews are good too, but they're not as expensive.
On the upswing. Legislative fight is still continuing on. It's been a flood of good news for Republicans. The Virginia case just got reversed. Supreme Court also swapped over the proper analysis for the improper analysis on the Voting Rights Act in Section 2. Both parties now bracing for a district-by-district fight this fall. This guy called Chris Winkleman, the president of the leading House Republican super PAC, derided the Democratic path to a majority as an expensive house of cards, saying as they wake up and realize they are overextended, they will find us well-resourced and locked into the core of the battleground. The political report, which handicaps political races, listed 270 seats as at least leaning Democratic, meaning the party would have just a single toss-up race to secure the majority. Then he rated, as of Friday, 208 seats, meaning the party would need to win 10 of the 18 toss-ups races. Wow, so that's a big shift. The final maps are still in flux, less than 6 months.
The dyed ones? Yeah.
Legal challenges are already underway in Florida, Louisiana, and Tennessee. State senator called Arthur, a Democrat in Maryland, says, I'm afraid for my party. Saying,
I used to get red fingers. My dad used to get them all the time. We'd both have red fingers from them. Remember when they used to have red pistachios?
Yeah.
Bigger issue continues.
I haven't thought about those in forever.
Every time my mom did have parties at the house,
also McCarthy, Republican of California.
Why were they red? I don't remember.
I don't know. I think just decorating.
Anytime you don't allow the voters to pick their elected officials, that's a recipe for long-term disaster. So they're struggling out there. They're so panicked they can't even spell. The Vergmias and the Senators now desperately racing up to the Supreme Court to try to latch on to any possibility of victory here. But they're realizing that if the Republicans play like they play, then it's evening up the scoreboard. They have to win by indicting their opponents, throwing them off the ballots, forcing districts that are not representative of the people there, that are racist districts, to be created. Now you reverse all of those things, and they're struggling. And even with other things that are happening in the world, people are not in favor of the Democratic Party. Their poll numbers, their approval ratings are even better.
Even like this when I went down here for
the Republicans. So even worse than the Republicans in many polls. So
there's
of course we'll see what the Supreme Court does. But I think Base Mike Lee is onto something here. This was a state matter about state law, about state interpretations. It's not about the counting of the votes or equal protection like we saw in Bush versus Gore or other cases that the Supreme Court wanted to weigh in on. And even back during 2020, the Supreme Court was hesitant to get involved even when Ted Cruz was saying, I'll go argue this case, Texas versus all of the others. And the battle will continue. The Democrats will not let up. They are like crackheads when it comes to power, so they'll find another way to break into the House. But we'll keep our eye on this one. All right, now, my friends, let's talk about denaturalization, because we've got some good developments over here. Coming from the DOJ. Denaturalization efforts now ramping up courtesy of the DOJ. They said, we now are moving against 12 individuals accused of serious offenses and fraud, including providing material support to a terrorist group. That guy became a citizen, committing war crimes, That guy became a citizen, and abuse of a minor, citizen, because they just were handing out paperwork to get everybody in here as quickly as possible. Once you're a citizen, definitely can't deport you, right? And there was a lot of concern about denaturalization, but from our perspective, any person who is a fraudster in a business contract,
oh, there's a Casey's here.
Financial transaction,
first one I've seen around here,
loses the benefit of their fraud. Just
Casey's at this exit.
The deal done doesn't immunize you from the shaky deal, from the fraudulent endeavor that you were involved in order to secure the outcome. So the DOJ, according to Todd Blanche, said, the Trump administration is taking action to correct these egregious violations of our system. Those who intentionally conceal their criminal histories and misrepresent themselves during the process will face the fullest extent of the law. And they gave us a whole list of these 12 people. And there's some real bad hombres on this list who should be removed immediately. We'll see what the courts do about it, but they listed 12 of them here. They've now filed denaturalization actions in various U.S. district courts against these 12 people. We'll take a look at them right here. First guy, age 48 years old, citizen of America who came over from Iraq. His name is Ali Yusuf Ahmad Al-Nouri. Amazing. On Friday, May 8, 2026, they initiated a denaturalization complaint in Arizona, in Phoenix. He's an Iraqi native. He entered the United States in 2009 based on a claim that he and his family were attacked by Al-Qaeda. Oh, so he's a refugee. So we have to take him. What kind of a person are you? You want him to be killed by Al-Qaeda?
Boogie on the block.
In 2019, the Republic of Iraq, though, requested that the U.S. extradite him back there to Iraq. Why? To face criminal charges for the premeditated murder of 2 Iraqi police officers back in 2006. Oh, what? Iraq claims that Ahmad murdered the police officers as a leader in Al-Qaeda. Upon further investigation, the U.S. learned that in 2015, Ahmed illegally procured his naturalization, which warrants his denaturalization, because he lied under oath about his criminal and family history when he sought admission to the United States, and they said, oh, here, become a citizen. Al-Qaeda was attacking you? No, it turns out he was part of Al-Qaeda, and he was murdering police officers there in Iraq who were trying to shore up the nation. This guy is Oscar Alberto Pelias, age 75, from Colombia. Went after him. Oh, he's a Roman Catholic priest down there. Great. A demon inside the church, who from 1998 to 2000 abused a child on multiple occasions when the child was 14 until he was 17. In 2002, he pleaded guilty and was convicted of 13 counts of that, including 2 of bad stuff with people under the age of 18. Horrific.
Oh. Some bitch. Empty the plug. Wait. Before you do, I gotta connect it wirelessly, I guess. I thought it was connected wirelessly. Sometimes if I plug it in too fast, it goes through the cable. Oh, fucking. It wasn't serious. It was streaming off my phone. It was watching the Watchers guy on Locals, but I didn't know it was. connected through the cable. It's supposed to do that wirelessly for Android Auto. Should be disconnecting now. I don't know why it won't. Turn the Wi-Fi off and on a couple times. Usually that does it. Let's just reboot the phone. We'll have it back in a minute. Not a biggie. The phone was getting hot. That's why I was deciding to unplug it. And if I could blow out another back on my phone. You've liked a couple of my stuff, my local stuff. It only stream every time I stream on Rumble, it also streams on locals for 30 minutes. But I don't have enough followers on locals to. I think you got to be over a certain number to be able to stream for like up to 2 to 3 hours. There it goes. There it goes. It's connected. Gotta get that mapping going again. And the locals.
Came into the country, said, what he told? No criminal history at all here. No. God bless, no. The United States has brought 4 claims against him seeking his denaturalization. He lacked a good moral character to become a citizen and knowingly lied to immigration authorities. Afuera, back out of here. Another guy, Khalid Owezouani, age 48 from Morocco. He applied for citizenship in 2005, naturalized in 2006, swore to his attachment to believe in the principles of the United States. But those oaths were false, right? Because as early as 2003, this guy Khalid was planning with 2 men later convicted of trying to bomb the New York Stock Exchange ways that they could support Al-Qaeda, so literal terrorists and PDF files. In 2007, just 1 year after he was naturalized, he sent Al-Qaeda tens of thousands of dollars in financial support with money that he had fraudulently obtained. And in 2008, he took an oath of allegiance to Al-Qaeda. Then, in May 2010, he pleaded guilty to bank fraud, money laundering, providing material support to Al-Qaeda. The naturalization complaint filed against him says he gave false testimony during his proceedings and lied about his affiliation and membership with Al-Qaeda and lacks the requisite attachment to the Constitution because he's a supporter of terrorists. This other guy called Salah Osman Ahmed, 43, from Somalia. Perfect. Wonder where he is now. He is not attached to the principles of the Constitution. Just months after he naturalized, he began, again, providing material support to the terrorists. He traveled to Somalia to fight and kill Ethiopians and joined the terrorist group called Al-Shabaab. Then in July 2009, in Minnesota, probably Ilhan's district, he pleaded guilty to providing material support to terrorists. He joined Al-Shabaab, and his membership within 5 years of his naturalization, so that precludes him. He concealed it, misrepresented it during his naturalization proceedings, and so now he needs to be denaturalized. We also saw Babakor Mboob. He came over from Gambia. He's a native of Gambia. He was serving as a military police officer in the Gambian army. He participated along with 15 other soldiers in the execution of 6 officers, following the orders from his commanding officers, who believed the victims.
I haven't. I think Courtney has.
Without giving their victims the benefits of a
Well, yeah, like a long time ago.
His involvement in war
It's been a long time.
and acts of persecution.
It's a good zoo.
Immigration and naturalization proceedings.
That's where they killed Harambe.
Before hearing, he admitted to executing 6 people, fellow officers.
Who knows?
The U.S. is now seeking to revoke his naturalization because he obtained it illegally, willfully misrepresenting his military background, of course. Then Kevin Suarez, this Robin Suarez, 31 from Bolivia. He engaged.
Supposed to be a good zoo. Toledo's got one of the best zoos in the country
for eventual exportation back over to Bolivia.
They win awards all the time for their zooing.
These were part of a larger trafficking network of guns. They were also complicit in drug trafficking, fueling drug violence there, sending them weapons. He pled guilty to conspiracy to cause false statements to federally licensed firearms dealers.
I know Columbus Zoo is famous because of what's his name,
under false pretenses, falsely testified under
TVM,
ago. This other guy, Abduvosit Razakov from Uzbekistan. He entered a sham marriage.
You'd have to look it up. I think it was either Columbus or Cincinnati. I know it was in Ohio.
His wife, right after, then engaged in a third sham marriage, this time marrying another Uzbekistani woman, not his own romantic partner, so she could obtain immigration benefits. So he comes in, marries somebody in a sham marriage, gets citizenship, then, oh, perfect, I'm a citizen, so I'll marry you. Just chaining them together. The complaint filed against him says that he never lawfully acquired permanent status because it was a sham marriage, it was immigration fraud. And you can't do that. This other guy, Abdallah Osman Sheikh, from age 28 from Kenya, now lives in Kentucky. He was in the Marines. He possessed indecent digital images of 2 minor individuals and posted an indecent digital image of one of them on social media. Those crimes warrant denaturalization. He was naturalized based on his military service, but got something other than an honorable discharge after failing to serve honorably for 5 years, and apparently the PDF file. We also have Debashis Ghosh, age 62 from India. Wow, this person conspired to defraud investors of $2.5 million for the construction of an air maintenance facility. After he got naturalized, he continued the fraud. In 2012, he claimed he never committed any crimes, but he did. And now he is starting to be denaturalized. Tin He from China. This guy's 53 years old. He was already ordered removable under a different name, Chun Di He. Tin He, though, is the same guy. He applied for a benefit the very next year. He just took a different identity. That application was granted. Then he obtained permanent residence. In 2013, he was naturalized under this new identity, Tin He, without ever disclosing his prior removal. Because Mr. He obtained his citizenship after concealing his prior identity, now we're revoking him. Same thing here, George Oyakihire from Nigeria. Also false identity. Born in Nigeria, came in 1986 using a visa with his real name. Then 2 years later, got a temporary residence using his false name. If it doesn't work the first time, just try it again. Then, under his false identity, got naturalized. They handed him citizenship status. You're a great American. Thanks for coming here to build our economy. Then this other guy, the last one, Victor Manuel Roca. He's a native of Colombia, was convicted of serving as an unregistered agent for Cuba. The U.S. seeks an order revoking his naturalization because he was spying for Cuba. When he applied for naturalization, he said, I did not commit any crimes. I'm not even affiliated with communists or Cuba at all. But He did knowingly support and further the interest of communism, even though he said he didn't. So multiple jurisdictions where this is now being unleashed, denaturalized, and deport immediately. And the administration is launching that. Now, John shared this article too. This was one from a couple weeks ago, back on April 23rd, saying that they're really ramping this up, saying from the times that the Justice Department targets hundreds of citizens for denaturalization, and we're starting to see the fruits of this effort.
Yeah, his name's Jack something.
This is just
he was on Jack Hanna. That's it. Yeah, he used to be on Letterman a lot. He used to be on a lot of the morning talk shows too.
Such a massive
like Good Morning America and stuff.
Imagine that it's going to require a full governmental response. We're starting to see some of that. Now, D-Day is for denaturalization. They had Chip Roy on with the Will Kane show, and they asked him about this, and here's what he said he thinks about what's happening now.
Yeah, denaturalization is one of our important tools to be able to remove people from our country who we brought here on our goodwill, gave them the ability to come here, take advantage of being American by getting a visa and then coming here and applying for citizenship. One of the things you cannot do when you do that is lie to us, misrepresent who you are and what you've done, misrepresent your criminal history. What you cannot do is be affiliated with terrorist organizations. And what we're finding more and more is that with our wide open doors, not just illegal immigration, right? Legal immigration, the abuse of the Afghan refugees, the abuse of people that were flooded in under the Biden administration. You have thousands of people who are brought here who are not properly vetted and who frankly lied in their application process. So it is absolutely a tool. These are not natural born citizens. They're not born of American citizen parents. These are people who came here through our goodwill and applied, and they lied. You've got people, as you just pointed out, that are tied to terrorist organizations. There was someone else, I think it was an Iraqi, who claimed that he was being persecuted. It turns out he was actually a terrorist.
Yep.
When you start investigating and look at these things, and by the way, Iraq was trying to, I think, extradite him. These are people that ought to be removed, and it's important. And look, the Department of Justice is being aggressive. I think they're going to call this D-Day for denaturalization, and we need it. And we need to have, actually, frankly, more than even what we're seeing right now.
A lot more. Yeah, these are just, starting line numbers, but it's rampant everywhere. So they also had a sit down with Tom Homan, and he said there's a lot of discussions going on about maybe amnesty or legal status. And here's what he said in that exchange about what the administration is seeking to do. We have the Dignity Act, which is now making its way courtesy of Maria Salazar and others who want dignidad for foreign invaders. Here's what Tom Homan had to say when asked about this week.
Is there any political space now, sir, for the administration to work with Congress, to work with Democrats on the other side of the aisle, to strike a compromise and finally fix a system that everyone acknowledges on all sides is outdated and broken?
I would love Congress to do some things. My concern right now is a lot of the successes we have, unprecedented success, is based on executive orders, which can certainly be turned around by the next president. Joe Biden did it.
Or they face lawsuits.
And President Trump came back and redid it, right? So if we're going to keep playing this ping pong game, I want to enshrine law and statute. And Congress needs to do that. Do I think they're going to? I'm very pessimistic.
You're right.
Right now, I've never seen Congress move further than it is right now. I mean, I've been involved in negotiations on Hill about reopening DHS and what they want. There's Democrats on the Hill that don't want to reform us.
I'm not logged into the right.
Would you support a compromise,
I've been
sir,
so
that
inactive for
involves
so long.
giving
My
legal
Starbucks
status
account is
to
not even.
the millions of people who are here illegally but are otherwise law-abiding, including dreamers?
I'm not going to get ahead of the president on that. Let's president know. I vote for the president. So, that's.
But something has to be done to address that population. Or is the solution to deport them all?
That's what the solution is.
Yeah, I'm not going to get ahead of the president. That's, the president's talking to various members of his cabinet. There's discussions going on. I'm involved with some and not others, but I'm not going to get ahead of the president on this.
All right. I don't know what the discussions are other than deport them. But, all right, Trump was out looking at the new improvements that are being made to the Lincoln Memorial pond reflecting pool, and Tom Homan and the new Homeland Secretary, Mark Wayne Mullen, were both out there, and there was this funny little exchange here. Tom Homan was asking some of these workers about their legal status.
System here. That's right. I came up with that password.
Tom Homan, you guys all legal out there? Mark Wayne Mullen both burst out into laughter. Trump says, yeah, they're from Oklahoma, so they're probably all legal. And there was more. J.D. Vance was also out saying, we do need to denaturalize these people, okay? This is one of the things that needs to happen. If you commit fraud in anything, you should not be the beneficiary of that fraud. That also extends to citizenship, which is perhaps the most sacred thing that you could earn at all. More sacred than a business deal or a contract or a financial transaction. All of which, if you commit fraud in those things, you don't get to keep the money. You don't get to keep the company. Why should you be able to keep your citizenship?
We know, for example, as you mentioned with the Quality Learning Center, that much of this was located within the Somali community in Minneapolis.
That have
Could the law lead you to a place where we'd see accountability in the form of denaturalization or deportation from people that come to this country legally or illegally and take advantage of America?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that's one of the angles that we're looking at is the people who committed immigration fraud against our system, and how do we denaturalize those people and send them back to where they came from. There's also, as you know, Will, under the Biden administration, there was a big blurring of the lines between illegal and legal immigration. The Biden administration would often take people who were coming in on fraudulent asylum claims, fraudulent refugee claims, and basically wave the magic wand of amnesty and say, we're not going to enforce the immigration laws against those people. The first thing, and maybe the most important thing that we did in the Trump administration, is that we stopped that from happening. But then you still have a lot of people who benefited from that Biden administration amnesty program. We're trying to unwind as much of that as possible. We've already had some success, by the way, Will, despite the fact that left-wing radicals in the justice system, the court system, have tried to stop us. We have been able to denaturalize and actually unwind that temporary protected status, a lot of those fraudulent asylum claims. So that work has been happening, but it's going to keep on happening so long as Donald Trump is president.
Nice. Good to see that. Thank you, JD. So we're seeing 12 more. And I think this is probably also a good disincentivizer for other people who are in the process. It's like better not even apply if you think that they're going to find out exactly what you've done and then reverse the process. It's not just a rubber stamp anymore where you just come in and, I was under attack. My mom's pupusa business was under attack out there in Guatemala. Oh, really? That's terrific. Come into America. Here, we'll take care of it. Free lawyers give you America Premium Plus version that even the citizens don't get. Free housing, free healthcare, free school, all the other free benefits, free cell phones, bunch of money to go start a business, clearing centers and all the things. Enough already. America can't afford the fraud. America can't afford to take care of every single person who then comes in and lies about, is completely dishonest about what they were involved in. Time to go. Hopefully, we see this is the beginning and the start of something big, but we'll keep our eye on it. Thanks for joining as we do. All right, friends, let's see what you say about all these stories and more and what you're seeing out there on this lovely Saturday. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Holly, I would like to see Vance speak a little stronger. Interesting. That was a little bit light. I think they're all being a little bit, kind of waffly at the moment. It's midterm season. They don't want to alienate sudden movements in the middle of an election season. The deportation, at least the public-facing deportations, have all lightened up a little bit. It's election season. You can feel it. They don't want to, alienate certain populations that they might want to turn out to vote, which is, political. Let's see who's here. What's going on? Dan, good to see you. Lawful acts, Vance serves at the pleasure of the president, right? He can't really counter-signal the president. Well, I was getting checked by E-Verify, even at small companies, less than 100 employees, even back in the 90s. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Muffin Rando, I think Rubio's going to be pres in 2028. Yeah, I think a lot of people are liking Rubio. K-Bean says, I like Rubio more than Vance. Interesting. Salty Maynard, what's up? So long as Trump's president isn't too reassuring. Well, that's, I think, the Tom Hallman point, is that they can just come in and reverse all of this, basically, with the stroke of a pen. They did that back when Biden came in, as we saw. Hey, Elena, what's up? Elena Noble, good to see you. Thank you for the dono. K-Bean, thank you for clipping for us. Rob, so now the DOJ has to prove Comey's intention about 8647. Yeah, intention, like, is a very key term of art. And I think the DOJ, in their indictment of Comey, it's not necessarily like intention. Let me see what you just asked before I start spitting off here. Seems so weak compared to all the good evidence the DOJ had on the first indictment. Yeah, I agree. I think the first indictment was stronger. First indictment was lying to Congress. And the statute of limitations on that expired, and the statute of limitations, I think, on like the 2017 ICA expired, which is why we're so frustrated about it. It does feel like the kind of the lowest, maybe the weakest of the possible charges that you could bring against him.
Has to reset.
We don't know what other evidence that they have, but it's not necessarily like its intention. Or I think that the other standard was recklessness, essentially. Recklessness, was it reckless of him to do that? And let me just grab the charging document right now so we can...
I've had it forever, you know?
I know, you have had it for the longest time.
We got the case here. Here's the indictment.
If it's after so long of inactivity, if it just...
Yeah, count one.
Yeah.
Sign out. Like I'm in.
Yeah,
it's my birthday.
So it's not even like
I'm signed in.
It's not even like
it doesn't have all my
intended it to be a threat.
I think I've had an account forever. It would
right,
have all
so
my
the
info.
way that the document is charging it, we can also pull up the U.S. code. Did he knowingly and willfully make a threat in that he publicly posted a photograph which a reasonable recipient who knows what it means would interpret as a serious expression of unintent? Okay, so the intentionality is more about, what was the other case that we looked up? It was like, what's the case?
I don't know, but it looks delicious.
Cooper versus Colorado, was that the one? No. Gosh, what was it? What was the Supreme Court case about true threats?
Casey's. Another one coming out.
And free speech.
When's my birthday? Next, not tomorrow, but next Sunday.
Counterman versus Colorado.
17th.
Yeah, that's it. Counterman versus Colorado.
We're celebrating it by getting a refrigerator.
Right, in this Supreme Court case, was whether the state must prove in true threats that the defendant, okay, so in this case it would be Comey. This is a Supreme Court case from 2022 on free speech. Whether the defendant had some subjective understanding of his statement's threatening nature. So did Comey, who's the defendant, did he have some understanding that it is threatening? But the First Amendment requires no more demanding a showing than recklessness. Okay, so it's not even like Comey intended it to be a true threat. It's was he reckless as the former FBI director? So recklessness is a little bit of a different standard than intentionality. It's like a careless disregard of the risks, which I think this is a much more applicable standard to Comey. So it's not so much did Comey intend to make a threat, and then is there evidence of that, like Comey sent a text message or something, or knew exactly what it meant. It's about recklessness. Was there a careless disregard of this threat, and did he have some, this is going to be the hardest thing to prove, some subjective understanding of that? But he was the FBI director, and as the former FBI director, does he know what 86 means? And maybe they have emails, they have internal conversations. Maybe he got a daily briefing as the FBI director. Somebody's going to 86 somebody. Oh, okay, what's that? Oh, they explain it to him. shows up in his emails that Kash Patel now has access to. So it's not like a strict intention that Comey meant to threaten the president. Was there even recklessness, right? The First Amendment requires no more demanding a showing than recklessness. And so the First Amendment permits restrictions upon the content of speech in a few limited areas. Kagan wrote this. Among these are true threats. True threats are serious expressions conveying that a speaker means to commit an act of lawful violence. The existence of a threat depends not on the mental state of the author, but on what the statement conveys. Because every person who's charged is going to say, no, I didn't mean it as a true threat. And so in this context, a recklessness standard, showing that a person consciously disregarded a substantial and unjustifiable risk that his conduct will cause harm to another, is the appropriate.
Yeah, he's not a good guy, that's for sure.
So in every crime where you've got, not every crime, but in most crimes, you've got a mens rea and an actus reus. So what is the mens rea? Is it pure intentionality that he intended someone to cause harm? No, it could be a lower standard, which is just he was reckless. He had a conscious disregard of a substantial risk that his conduct will enable somebody else to cause harm to another. Then the act, of course, is the posting of the photo. So, yeah, it's a little bit, it's not the strongest case ever. But we read through that whole decision, I think, during that era. But I think that, there's a bunch of other reasons Comey should have been charged. I mean, the first indictment was, I thought, much stronger because he was leaking to the media and then lied about leaking to the media via Daniel Richmond, the law professor. And then, Lindsay Halligan, they kind of hung her out to dry. And that failed. So we're running out of options. So it's not the most ideal case, but what we got. So thank you, Alana Noble, for that one. Rob, you're a defund attorney. Defense, maybe. But do you think you could prosecute? Is the job that different? Is there special training for each? Yeah, I could definitely. I wanted to be a prosecutor originally. When I went to law school, I wanted to be a prosecutor. Then I had to. Then I was my first year as a law student. I wanted to get into the action. Like, I was really tired of just sitting around listening to crap, honestly. After 4 years of college, I was like, all right, I need to get some action. So first year of law school, I went to criminal law, and I was like the obnoxious kid. I was like the obnoxious guy. Law schools are very liberal, right, in general. So, and I was pretty conservative already. And so I'm dealing with all these other students, and they're all like, well, isn't this so they put us in these hypothetical groups, and okay, you guys have to pick a side and debate it. And it'd always be 7 to 1. I'd always be like, no, he should be in jail. This defendant should be in jail. Yeah, but his free speech, his right against self-incrimination was violated here. It's like, no, it wasn't. Okay, no, it wasn't. He voluntarily talked, blah, blah, blah. And so it'd be 6 on 1, me versus these other people. And it was kind of fun. And I kind of just like being adversarial for the sake of being adversarial. But I did want to be a prosecutor. I thought, I know, I'll be a prosecutor, and then I'll go and then maybe run for office, and I'll do that whole stupid thing, and run up the chain, become AG or whatever. It was kind of my thought, because I didn't know what else to do. Then I had to start dealing with prosecutors, and I realized, oh my gosh. So my first year, I wanted some action, right? And first year, you can't go and be, or at least where I was at the time, they wouldn't take you at the county attorney's office because you're too young. First year, first semester, you don't know anything. They have internship programs and externship programs for second and third year students, but I didn't want to wait that. So I thought, all right. And I had a friend who actually referred me over to a criminal defense law firm, and they said, hey, they're looking for interns. They'll take you now. I was like, all right, cool. So I'll go be an intern at a criminal defense law firm so I can learn how these criminal defense attorneys work. And then I'll go deal with prosecutors.
I don't know.
And then I got over there at this defense firm, and they were, it was abusive and
come on in.
It was like, oh, okay. They just wanted us to be as little workhorses and really learn much from the organization, but I learned a lot in practicing the law. So it was actually exactly what I wanted. So I shouldn't complain about it. But then I went over there and I started working with people. And I started talking with these prosecutors on the other side, and they'd be like, hey, you got some real constitutional problems in your case. Like, this is a problem, and this defendant is a good person. This is a, whatever happened here. Here's a good explanation for what happened. The government, in this case, should give us a good deal. Like, you should recognize that there are some serious constitutional problems here. And prosecutors would, like, not even respond to your phone calls. They would not even listen to you. They would just say, I don't even have authority to do that. Basically, their job in Maricopa County, Arizona, is to look at like spreadsheets and say, okay, your client got charged with this. They're a category 1 offender. They've got no priors. This is all I can do on it. And then in Arizona, in many places, if you fight it, they make it worse. Like if you actually get what's called early disposition court. So if you resolve your case early, they'll give you their plea deal according to their like algorithm. And if you reject that, they'll tell you. If you fight your case, you want to get discovery, you want to do depositions, you want to do interviews, you want to do these things, then they'll actually make it worse. They say any plea deal, they'll say this on the record, any plea deal will be substantially worse since you've rejected the initial deal. And I'm sitting here going, what the hell is this? This is not justice at all. This is, basically threatening people with harsher penalties because of the fact that they're fighting their case and invoking the Constitution. Yeah. This isn't right. So, and I also started dealing with prosecutors, and you start to realize that many of them I met a lot of very good prosecutors and, had some fun with some of them, but many of them just kind of have the souls just like sucked out of their bodies. They go in to become, I think people go to law school because they're idealists and they want to like change the system and do good and help people. But a lot of these prosecutors just look like the souls just sucked right out of them. And I can't tell you how many times like I had to sit down with a prosecutor and like, I'll never forget that like the first time I did this, I was like, okay, this is a good strategy. But I was pinging this prosecutor many times over. Hey man, hey, like this is false. The police report is false. And I had like back when iPads were like a new thing, I brought an iPad and I sat down and this prosecutor would not respond to me. So we're sitting down at a pretrial conference and I pulled out the iPad and I played this video for him. I said, you have to watch this video. Okay? He's like, I'm not giving a deal. I'm not dismissing your case. Your client's guilty. Take the deal, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro. Like, played it for him, put it right in his face. He watched the video, and he just looked at me like, oh. And then he ended up dismissing that case because the cop lied in the police report about exactly what happened. But, like, that's what it took. And I thought, man, I can't do that crap. I can't just put people in jail and, like, take people's liberty away from them because the system is telling me to do that. Like, how could I possibly even sleep at night? So I got a real dose of like reality that the prosecutors are just like sausage makers. Like that's it. Not all of them. Some of them were actually very good people, and I had some good resolutions with some people. But others, man, and defense attorneys then are also part of the sausage making factory. So, anyways, I felt that I was in a lot more in alignment. Like as a prosecutor, I wanted to go like uphold the Constitution, like fight for America and do those things. But I realized a lot of them aren't doing that. It's just kind of making sausages every day, and I don't want to do that. So from that point forward, I was like, I will never be a prosecutor just on a kind of a constitutional perspective. And then I was a defense attorney, and then you fight against illegal searches and seizures. I really felt like I'm actually upholding the Constitution, and it's a lot more fun too. I think the defense side is a lot more fun because, man, you like never know what's coming through the door. You get to meet with people, you get to counsel people. A lot of people I was able to talk about, alcoholism and sobriety and a bunch of things. So it was the right fit for me. But I definitely could go prosecute. I think I'd be pretty rough as a prosecutor in a aggressive way. But I could see myself as having gone down that path and just being savage. But is there a special training for each? Yeah, prosecutors go through their own training programs. Defense attorneys, we do like CLEs. We kind of train ourselves, and learn from each other. That's what I really liked about the defense bar is there's a lot of camaraderie there, and people are very helpful amongst each other. because oftentimes you can win in groups. Like if one guy can crack an officer in an interview, then the whole defense bar can benefit from that. You can catch a cop in a lie. Or you join together and you can beat like a DUI machine. Then everybody, oh, that machine is beaten. Everybody look for your cases. Who ran samples through that machine? So anyways, a little trip down memory lane there. Thank you for that. Rob, I think his own book is going to take him out. Oh, from Comey? Yeah, and there may be some
anything that's standard oat
may
milk
have been an excuse for his
is a no-no.
posting of the 8647 to
I
create
know.
some publicity. And his book is
Just
about
means
like
that it's
free
not for
speech
me.
and something. Somebody's like making threats, right? It's kind of like the plot is kind of similar. Tony, hey, I kind of figured it out when my defense attorney said, "Oh, I know that judge. We have lunch together." Yeah, there's some of that. Some defense attorneys, I think, over-engineer that. Like I've known lawyers, defense lawyers, who are like, "Oh yeah, no, we go golfing together." I'm like, "No, you don't. You're a liar. Don't tell your clients that." Or I get people would fire their lawyers and come hire us. Why'd you hire that guy? Well, he told me he went like golfing with the judge. I'm like, no, he does not go golfing with the judge. He said that to you? Yeah, he told me. He said our kids go to the same school together. I'm like, no, they don't. Okay, I know this. He doesn't even have any kids or whatever. And there's like a lot of that going on. So defense attorneys will say that a lot. It's like a selling point. I've got special access. I got to have the deals get done. In some smaller cities and communities, I think there is truth to that. I would develop good relationships with people. And there's one. I have a lot of these stories actually, a lot of those stories. But it's very context dependent on that. We have lunch together. Sometimes that does happen, but a lot of defense attorneys will over-engineer that, and especially like on the major cases. But criminal law is a very personal business, personable. And I've always thought that you can get as much done with a good personality and some kindness and like some caring as you can with litigation. Like I also knew a bunch of lawyers, criminal defense lawyers, who were just crappy people. They bad personalities, no charisma, no care, and they got worse deals. You also have these lawyers who were just like pure litigants, not bad people, but like not really much of a personality. Like they won't sit down and talk to a prosecutor or ask about anything. And they just file motions, like a billion motions, are super aggressive. And some people want those lawyers. And then those lawyers ultimately just kind of piss off the prosecutors, and they kind of just piss off the judges. Sorry about the language, but they do. And then the prosecutors, will all talk amongst themselves. Some of these cities are small. They got like 5 prosecutors. They all talk. Oh, that guy's back. We hate that guy. Like I've heard prosecutors say that. We can't stand that guy. So like, how is he going to get a good deal? If there's anything that's a benefit of the doubt, he's not going to get it because he's already kind of burned that pot. So my philosophy was, to be very litigious when it's necessary. But if you can't work something out that your client's happy with, or if you can, then you can do that. So, people have different philosophies on how to practice law. That's why it's called the practice of law. And some people didn't hire us for that reason. They wanted like a sheer litigator. I said, well, okay, in this court, if you do that, there may be some repercussions for that. We call it the trial tax. So if you have to fight, then it actually might get worse for you down the line, and they won't reverse that. So it's all or nothing. If you better win that litigation, otherwise you're not going to get a good deal. And if the deal accomplishes your goals, then you might want to try that route before you ultimately just start going blows at somebody, because they're dangerous prosecutors, because they get these motions one after. And I used to do this. Like I had courts where I got nothing done based on my charming personality.
Beef tallow fries.
And so from there, I was like, okay, we're blowing this court up. I went up to one court in Arizona. I did like 6 bench trials in one day. I said, I'm going to do them all.
Yeah.
You're going to do everything. Yeah, I'm not taking your crap plea deal, so we'll do all the trials. I think I won 1 out of the 6. But it was set up for us to lose. The judge and the defense, so the prosecutors were all in cahoots. And so I said, that's fine. We'll just go waste your whole day. I'll take up the whole day. Bench trial after bench trial after bench trial after bench trial. I said, I don't care. Well, it's going to waste your whole day. I said, I don't care. I'm going to come up and do it. I was basically throwing like a legal temper tantrum. But you know, you do that a couple times, and you start to things. You kind of the goal is to kind of shake things loose. So it's fun. You know, practicing law actually is a lot of fun. But yeah, it was also kind of a good thing for our firm. Like I kind of set the, you know, firm was like, going up there. It was like 3.5 hours away from our office. I'm like, like the same trial with him. I just had a bunch of questions, and I just went through them again. Okay. $1, $2. What about this? Went through them all again. Rob say court is like a blood sport. In that case, it definitely was. Yeah, my goal was honestly like to waste everybody's time because we're not taking your deal. Like I'd rather lose. The judges are going to send him to jail. So we'll just sit there. We'll sit here for 12 hours. I don't care. Yeah, we won actually one of those. We won actually one of those with an honest cop. This other cop, in my opinion, was not an honest guy. So I did one. I was shocked by this, by the way. He like admitted a bunch of things. He's like, actually, the machine was taken out of service the following day. And this is one of those courts, like if you fight for discovery, like they make it worse. I'm like, just set it for trial. Then we got some discovery. And then he made an admission on the stand. I was like, holy crap, that wasn't in there. And we won that one. But then the other one, and then what ultimately happened is I did this a couple times. And then the presiding judge, who was nasty, she ended up losing her election and never came back. But she then brought in a pro tem judge who was a lot more reasonable. So we actually got another judge because she didn't want to sit through this. We did like one day of like 6 trials, and I think I came back to like another day of 5 trials, and she didn't sit on the bench. So she brought in a substitute judge, and the second round were much more favorable. And then we started getting deals. We started getting some deals out of there. And then I kind of you know, it was early in our law firm, so I kind of matured up to a different role in the firm. Yeah, anyways, it's a lot of fun. Practicing law is fun. But no, we lost a lot of those. We lost a lot of those out of this one court. It was set up to lose. And this is why the prosecutors
didn't come back on
deals, because the judges would always. But then we started appealing things, and we just made we made the court like have to eat it. Like if you're gonna treat us this way, then we're gonna be extremely aggressive with you. I mean, we filed all sorts of motions and we're appealing all sorts of crap. And it made their lives. We made them work.
No, we're in Marion. This is where Jared lives.
So, but it started to shake things loose, right? Just by being so aggressive, it kind of shakes things loose. But in other jurisdictions, like if you start in that manner, there are other jurisdictions. I'll just walk in, you know,
40, 50 minutes away,
and just talk to him about it. Hey, man, this is my client's position. He'll go, you know. Pretty convincing argument. So
we stopped at this one before, quite a few times actually.
Thank you. The right thing, you know, and you don't have to do all of
some
that.
Starbies.
Doesn't want to do the work. The courts don't want to do the work. Judges happy to close the case. Everybody just wants to move on. It's Friday. It's 4 o'clock. Okay, fine. But the other one, I think, man, we were there. I was like driving home like 8, 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, no, it's here. It's trial day. It's our client's rights. We'll sit here for trial. Spuds, we have enough liars in Congress. Why should we import more? Good question, Spuds. We shouldn't. We shouldn't at all. No doubt. Anyways, a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I do miss it from time to time. Hey, Spuds, Dan, heir to the Levi fortune, Goldman's District, and Medicaid Fraud Alley. Can you say gerrymandering by race? Dan, heir. Oh, yeah, Dan Goldman, the Levi guy. Medicaid Fraud Alley. Can you say gerrymandering by race? I saw some breakdown of LA. I didn't realize kind of how racialized it was.
All right, we'll be right back.
I don't know how accurate the map was, but it showed like, you know, black people live here, Hispanic people live here, white people live here over in Beverly Hills, and, you know, Asians are over here. It was all like very segmented. I couldn't believe it. I don't like to spend a lot of time in LA. I've been there, you know, more than I care to be, but I didn't realize it. and it was like a demographics map. It's very interesting. Thank you, Spuds. What's up, Sharpie guy? Hey, Robin Watchers, vinegar is a solvent for rust and sap on metal, as well as a great disinfectant. So you know what I meant last evening in the chat. Yeah, but what was that related to, Sharpie guy? Rust and sap on metal. Is that for the UFO stuff? What is that? You have to let us know, Sharpie guy. Hey, I caught the replay and wanted to shout out Rick D for helping Rob avoid a World War XI moment with the S4B third stage name launch vehicle that my dad was involved in. Your dad was in this? Man, that's pretty cool. S4B. Got it. That's pretty cool. So it's the S, I guess, 1C stage? Interesting. All right. I won't talk about spacecraft anymore. Thank you. Rub some dirt on it. And so, friends, yeah, practicing law was pretty fun. Thank you. Rub some dirt on it for the nice dono. And Glenn Croy, best attorney I ever had was for J6. Her name was Kira West, and she did everything she could. Man, shout out to Kira West. Yeah, you try your best, but sometimes you're fighting a prosecutor and a judge, and it's just, they make it almost impossible. She paid for my motel, bought me dinner, let me park under a courthouse where she parks, gave me a hoodie bag of treats for a ride back to Colorado, and gave me $100. Dang. Best public defender I could have hoped for out of DC. Yeah, and you're trying to help people. It's kind of a fun thing. Like, rather than, you want people to get back on track. There's a counseling component to it, which I think is different than like business law or like contract law. People come to you and they're like broken, like at the worst spot in their entire life, and they just need some help. And so you may not be able to win their case for them, but you can definitely help them get in a much better position than they're currently in. And I found a lot of value in that. There's kind of a nurturing component to it. Really help people, really connect with people and explain and show them, right? Kind of counsel them to, like, this is what we're dealing with. This is what the judge said. This is what the prosecutor's saying. You're sitting in the courtroom. Like, I'm not making it up. You can understand exactly what's happening here. These are our strategies. This is all we can do. But, and it's part of the frustration with the system is that sometimes it's just like going up against an immovable object. And a lot of it's dependent in one court. You get this outcome, same case, same charge, same facts. In this court, completely different. And in Arizona, we have justice court judges. You don't even have to be a lawyer to become a judge. No graduating of law school. All you have to do is just run for election, and then you're good. That's it. You can win. You can be an accountant, run for election, you win. Now you're sending people to jail on misdemeanors for up to 6 months. It's pretty incredible. So, and I've had like that experience. I've explained it here many times. There was one time this judge, she lost her. All right. But I went up to her. She said, the law does not allow this. I said, Judge, it literally does. Where does it say that? I said, right here. I opened the statute book. I read it to her. I said, it's right here. This is current. Let me read it to you. Here, I made a copy for you. It's right here. She looked at me. I was a brand new lawyer. She looked at me. Her eyes like glazed over. I know that you can feel when your eyes glaze over, so you can see it in other people. Her eyes glazed over, and it was very revelatory to me. She had no idea what I was saying. She didn't understand the statute, didn't understand the law. So she just said no. And I said, well, other judges like in this building are doing this as a matter of procedure. He just glazed, no idea, completely gone. He ended up like failing out. She wasn't a judge for long. I think she got one term and maybe didn't run again. But it's crazy. Like, this is what you're dealing with. So walk it off. That does sound fun, powerful, actually. Fighting the system for a righteous outcome in the bigger picture. Super lawyer from Walk It Off. It is. It's kind of like a David versus Goliath thing, right? The defense attorneys were totally outgunned. You've got millions and billions of dollars that go to the prosecutors, police, forensics, all these things. So it's like David versus Goliath. Patriot Alpha, sounds like the LA redistricting map is going to heat up with litigation to get 2 black districts from Patriot Alpha. Man, better not be racist. Better not be racist at all.
I don't think I've ever gone this way before.
Otherwise,
usually we just go back out the way we came.
That's illegal. Sharpie guy, it was about COVID and people asking me if I cared about eliminating people.
Or something.
People were asking if you cared about killing people because of not getting the jab. So you're saying you worked at Vinegar, and Vinegar is like a disinfectant company, and a disinfecting product. I think I'm piecing it together, Sharpie guy. Thanks for the clarification.
White unnecessary stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
We're not gonna make
exactly. Right, Glenn Coy, like the J6ers. My attorney and her friend, who now works
it's
for
green.
said my defense and speech I gave was amazing, but there was nothing anyone could say to Beryl Howell. She was dead set on making examples. Exactly. Like you could have the best lawyers in the world, but if you're in front of Judge Beryl Howell, what are you going to do? Like she's a partisan hack. It's like that's just the nature of the system. Try to get a different judge. You can appeal things.
Your hand,
but it's just sometimes it's just. The luck of the draw. So then the defense attorneys, like, what do? They have to counsel you through that. A lot of it's also counseling the family. Diane, judge dropped my charges as I'm a victim. My attorney is now judge. He's on the list for SCOTUS. Wow. He's America's first old judge. Dropped my charge. Rest in peace. Said 2 should have been attempted murder for trying to hit the jugular. Dang, man, that's a pretty serious case. So good stuff. All right, so friends, let us pause here on the morning. Happy Saturday. Thanks for letting me riff about the practice of law a little bit. Always fun. If you're a lawyer or a budding lawyer, DOJ needs you.
Holy shit, that's good.
Maybe you'll give it some consideration. But all right, so KB, thank you for clipping for us this morning. Amazing to have you doing that.
Just one bite.
For the comments, hey, Rob in the house, Alana, very nice donos. Thank you for those. And friends, thank you for being members. I hope your Saturday is amazing. Thanks for joining us as we navigate some of the news today. A couple of good seconds. I thought Virginia and denaturalization. But we'll pause here. We are continuing to settle in this weekend. We've got some stuff to offload out of the house still. And then we're going to go. We live in the single best, greatest country God ever gave man. In your quiet, more reflective moments, you think of the sacrifice, the gifts so many have sacrificed for our liberty, our freedom. What a blessing this is. I gotta say this. Thank God we live in the best country ever. And happy 250th birthday to the United States of America.
Go to the vegan food place. Huh? Will they eat vegan?
No, not anymore.
No. Are you?
Capital, Washington, D.C. The number here, 866.
Yeah, the refreshers are pretty good, but they're chock full of ice. Have you ever seen the little experiments where they pour a large into a medium and pour the medium into a small? How it's all the same amount? You know?
Thanks for joining us again here on Breakfast.
Matt, great to be with you. Honored to be here. It's a big day here in Washington. It's beautiful out. America is back. It's a great day.
Okay. Yeah, the left is in full retreat right now. So we just saw the total collapse of their effort to try to break the election in 2026 with the Virginia redistricting push. Totally just nullified that the Virginia Supreme Court and Democrats had spent tens of millions of dollars, I think it was $60 million in this whole effort to try to.
Yeah, check it out. I mean, you could probably pull it up on a YouTube video or something.
Virginia,
I mean, they are good, but
totally set to destroy
the cups
deflated them.
jam-packed with ice.
Your thoughts on that development this past week?
Well, Matt, it's interesting because I think there's two major components to this. One, yes, it is incredible that the
I'm gonna switch it to premium. Since you're a red subscriber, nobody else is in here. So we can play some music. Just give me a second.
Virginia, big issue here. These are a lot of still swing states, and in a very tight election, at a time when we need a House majority to help deliver wins for President Trump, we cannot rest on our